Need for Speed. It's hard to define exactly what those three words mean. Most racing game series have a very strong DNA and tend to stick with it and remain easily recognizable. But Need for Speed, well, it's been stage select, open world, a wannabe sim racer, a gift from God, and, well, the less said about the most recent trilogy, the better.
Tiger selfie!
No,
here we go.
No, man.
Rawr!
The loss of cohesion in the most recent games is the exact reason why the development has shifted from Ghost Games back to Criterion. This caused quite a bit of discussion when it all first went down, but there's a small part of me that actually has some faith. Criterion in the end made what I personally consider to be my favorite Need for Speed, and that would be Hot Pursuit 2010. Unapologetic, fast-paced, and it doesn't pretend to be something it isn't, unlike some games I know. In my definition, this is Need for Speed. Allow me to show you just why this is. Open world or stage select. This is the dilemma that I tend to struggle with when it comes to Need for Speed maps. Now, I might be in the minority here, but I've never been a fan of Need for Speed's open worlds. To me, the ideal Need for Speed has you choose between a good selection of completely unique courses, as it's what I grew up with on the original Hot Pursuit. But Seacrest County is a major exception to this. Seacrest County is designed perfectly for the gameplay and mission style of Hot Pursuit, instead of being designed as just a place to drive around and then just chucked a bunch of races on it. What this ends up resulting in is a map that is always fun to drive on. The variety in this map is excellent too. Dense forests, desert canyons, snowy mountains, long highways, curvy highways, coastlines, the waterfall, and, of course, we all know those spirals that seem to go on forever, but of course, in the best way possible. Seacrest County might not actually have that much drivable road on it, but because of how varied and how well the different sections transition between each other, and of course the sheer speed focus, it feels huge. And sure, of course it isn't as detail-packed as a Forza Horizon, but I'll tell you what, I debatably enjoy it just as much, if not more, than some of those games, and tenfold over the new Ghost Games Need for Speed maps. There are also some really neat touches here, such as planes and blimps flying around in the sky, just adding that little extra, damn that is cool touch. I mentioned earlier that the map was designed around the missions and races in this game, which is where the real brilliance of Hot Pursuit starts to shine. Now, I'm known to be someone who prefers racing games with a solid story to them, so what on earth am I doing calling Need for Speed with zero story whatsoever my favorite? Well, I argue that a story would actually ruin what Hot Pursuit is supposed to be, which is just plain old dumb fun. What Hot Pursuit does is toss you into this map and say, alright, here's a bunch of events. You gotta drive like a total idiot, prioritize winning above anything else, and rack up as much bounty as possible by driving recklessly, taking out opponents, and just being an overall menace to society. And the more bounty you get, the quicker you unlock faster cars and more challenging races. But oh boy, that is just the racer side. Remember when Need for Speed games had the options to play the cop? Debatably, an even more aggressive playstyle is that of the police, tasked with shutting down the illegal racing in Seacrest County, equipped with all sorts of totally necessary cars to get the job done. The choice is yours on which you want to prioritize. I personally prefer racers, but shutting down enemy racers as a cop is ever so satisfying as well. The way that Hot Pursuit handles events and missions is also a prime example of how races should be done. You of course have, well, races, where the objective is to, win. Time trials, of course, where all the speed demons out there where you just get to a destination as quick as possible. Previews, which allow you to get a taste of late game vehicles in one-off events, activating the thirst for some of these cars. And Hot Pursuit, which is just races, but you get chased down and hunted by police officers, giving you access to pursuit tech such as turbo boost, spike strips, and all sorts of good stuff. One of my personal event types in Hot Pursuit are duels, which pose you an interesting question or scenario for you to determine who will win. My personal pick would be the Shelby GT500 Super Stake versus the Gallardo. Asking the question, is the Shelby's raw power enough to counter the Gallardo's corner carving prowess? And it sets you in a section of the map with a perfect balance of both straights and corners, so it's all on you to get the best result in either car, and it's a damn fun race. And finally, we have gauntlets. Gauntlet races are basically a mix of Hot Pursuit and time trial. Reach the destination as fast as you can without getting taken out, except you have no pursuit tech and there are no other racers. With all of this being said, there isn't too much else to bother with the campaign, because this game doesn't try and do too much at once. It shows a solid objective, make a fun, intense racing game that you can just hop on, do a couple races, or just speedrun the whole thing. But no matter what, you're just gonna have a blast and enjoy driving fast cars in completely unrealistic scenarios, which is exactly what Need for Speed does better than any other series. At least, that's what it used to do. Something that I have to appreciate that Hot Pursuit, as well as a lot of the older Need for Speed games do well, is that it makes you use every single car on the the car list. In the most recent Need for Speed games, you can build a single car to a performance level and continue upgrading it towards the end of the game and use it the whole time without ever switching or having to use any other cars. Because Hot Pursuit has no upgrade system, you get to actually use cars that not only are new, but cars that you might not necessarily have ever tried but end up loving. This is a curse upon not just modern Need for Speed games, but a lot of other series as well. Games which focus on performance index too much let you use whatever car you want and just make it what you want and use it for every single race. For people like me who actually enjoy cars, I want to experience all of them and try out ones that I wouldn't purposely seek out. Now, speaking of cars, can we talk about just how perfect Hot Pursuit's list is? People go on about wanting the biggest car list out there, but I've said multiple times, if I don't want to drive every single car on that list, what's the point? I may be a little biased here, but Hot Pursuit captures my favorite era of automotive icons. Late 2000s and early 2010s sports, supers, and hypercars. Basically my definition of perfection. 997 Porsche 911 Speedster, Lamborghini Reventon, the SL65 Black Series, 918 Concept, and the Chevy C6 Corvette Z06. And as a proud member of the Church of Comfort Apollo, I praise one of the few games that it's in. The SLR Sterling Moss was also in the original version of Hot Pursuit. However, it's important to note that unfortunately it was removed for the remaster, which is a shame. It's a truly underappreciated masterpiece on wheels. Some people get really turned off of Need for Speed games with little customization, and Hot Pursuit is one of those. When it comes to choosing things you can do to your cars, you can just choose the color and that's it. But if I'm completely honest, I've never been a customization guy, so to me, that's not really a lacking feature. In fact, it's probably good so that people can't make abominations like handling and physics. I'm gonna say it now, this is probably the best Need for Speed physics they've ever had. Those who want realistic physics in Need for Speed, I'm sorry to say, this is not the series for that. Go play a real sim racer if you want realism. The whole point of games like Hot Pursuit is not taking themselves seriously. So having brake to drift and the drifting is actually faster through the corners mentality is perfect for that. And let's be completely honest with ourselves. Has Need for Speed really ever had a realistic physics model? And if you say Need for Speed Heat, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to ask you to get a psychiatric evaluation. I'm sorry, it is just awful. Combining these wild physics and high speed with the cops and traffic lead to something very important: punishment. If you slip up and crash into a roadblock or a traffic car, crash cams exist specifically to act as a punishment and help act as a motivator to clean up your driving. Hot Pursuit actively encourages you in multiple ways to keep getting better and better, which is a nice change of pace from a lot of games these days. Guaranteed progression mode, Horizon 5. First, we have Autolog and the speed wall. You can't race without constantly being compared to your friends, encouraging friendly competition. I mean, come on, there's literally an option to brag that you beat your friends built into the game. Now, why specifically did I choose to review Hot Pursuit now? Well, as I mentioned, Criterion Games is working on the next big Need for Speed. And in the hopes of seeing what this series could be turning into, I wanted to look back at their last games for inspiration. But Need for Speed 2022-2023 is a really tricky game to predict. I really hope we don't get a retooled Need for Speed Heat and another cheesy, wannabe, edgy story. But Need for Speed, since the, let's call it unique, reboot in 2015, has built a culture around customization, and that's pretty much it. I hope Criterion gets the chance to ditch that format and move on to something more like Hot Pursuit. But unfortunately, I can't see it happening. Thank you very much for watching to the end. Need for Speed The Run is up for review next, and until then, have a wonderful rest of your day.